2 people are dead and 18 people are injured after a small plane crashed through the rooftop of a building in Southern California, Fullerton specifically. Now, from what we know, the plane was a single-engine, 4-seater plane, and it crashed into what appears to be a company that manufactures upholstery for furniture because they had sewing machines, textile stock, things like that. Now, 2 people were declared dead, 10 were taken to the hospital, and 8 were treated on scene and then released with minor injuries.
Come on, all that long.
Please remain seated until further
No,
happens.
oh my gosh. Please get us on.
So sorry, this is just...
You want to slap down? You cannot take your bags with you. You can't take them. You have to leave it right here.
Should people be hesitant to fly right now?
No, not at all. I've not hesitated to fly. This is something that it's been many years that something like this has happened. And the collision is just something that we don't expect ever to happen again. We are going to have the highest level people. We've already hired some of the people that you've already hired for that position long before we knew about this. I mean, long before. From the time I came in, we started going out and getting the best people because I said it's not appropriate what they're doing. I think it's a tremendous mistake. You know, they like to do things and they like to take them too far, and this is sometimes what ends up happening. Now, with that, I'm not blaming the controller. I'm saying there are things that you could question, like the height of the helicopter, the height of the plane being at the same level and going in opposite directions. It's not a positive. But no, we're already hiring people. No, flying is very safe. We have the safest flying anywhere in the world, and we'll keep it that way. Thank you all very much.
Grand Rising, my lovely butterflies. This is the Awakened Butterfly, and I am back with another video. If this is your first time coming across my channel, please stay for the entire video or check out some of my existing content. If you enjoy this type of content, please don't hesitate to subscribe. Welcome and welcome back, everyone. I missed you guys so much. I am so grateful to be back posting and talking with you guys. I pray that you guys are continuing to take care of yourselves mentally, physically, and spiritually. I love you guys so much, and all the love and support that you guys show me on this channel is always greatly appreciated. If you haven't already, please be sure to hit the post notification bell so you'll be notified every time I post a video. Guys, as you can tell by the title of this video, I will be discussing the mysterious plane crashes that has been happening and why I feel they are taking place. Now, this is all based on my opinion as well as factual information that I received through research. And I must say that after researching these incidents, something spiritually just doesn't sit right with me. I feel that there is something dark taking place behind the scenes, and we're going to go ahead and get into why I feel that way. I have my suspicions, and after we go through all the information regarding these incidents, you guys may have the same suspicions as well. Now, guys, as we all know, within 45 days, there has been mysterious plane crashes that has been occurring throughout the U.S. Now, also, within the past week, there has been 2 tragic plane crashes that has occurred in the U.S., leaving many injured and several unfortunately met their demise. Now, the first incident happened near Potomac River, which is near Washington, D.C. And this happened Wednesday around 9:00 p.m. when an Eagle jetliner plane carrying 60 passengers and 4 crew members collided in mid-air with a Sikorsky helicopter that was occupied by 3 U.S. Army soldiers. Check this clip out, guys, and I'll be right back.
The Black Hawk was on a training flight, a mission similar to those flown every day by Army helicopters in the tight air corridors around the nation's capital.
No excuses. We're going to get to the bottom of this.
Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth said there was nothing unusual about the flight, which took off from nearby Fort Belvoir.
Routine annual retraining of night flights on a standard corridor for a continuity of government mission. The military does dangerous things. It does routine things on the regular basis. Tragically, last night, a mistake was made.
The pilot, co-pilot, and crew chief, Ryan O'Hara, who leaves behind a wife and a 1-year-old son, were killed. The Army said they were all very experienced. Former Black Hawk pilot Bradley Bowman flew this route along the Potomac many times.
What are the challenges?
The area around Reagan National Airport is one of the busiest, if not the busiest, in the nation. And you have these low-level helicopter routes, and it's all in a relatively tight space.
Would it be fair to describe them as routine?
Yes. The day-to-day mission of this aviation unit is what we call priority air transport, to fly VIPs around. And so if you're going to go pick up the Chief of Staff of the Army at the Pentagon, right, and fly him on a night mission, you don't want the first time you're doing that to be with the VIP in the back. So you do these regular training missions to make sure that you know your trade.
Had they been headed to that aircraft,
yeah,
it's a maneuverable.
For sure, it's incredibly maneuverable. You can think of it like a Porsche in the sky, very maneuverable, lots of power. They could have maneuvered quickly if they'd seen the problem.
And Charlie Daggett joins us now from the Pentagon. Charlie, you mentioned this was an experienced crew. How experienced are we talking here?
Well, we understand that one of the crew members had 1,000 hours, flight hours. Another one had 500. To put that in perspective, these are helicopters by military standards. That's quite a lot. Helicopters don't spend that much time in the air, but to put it in perspective, commercial pilots on a busy year might see about 700 hours.
And Charlie, real quickly here, well, a lot of people might wonder, why would they train in such a congested urban area?
Yeah, Maurice, people have said, why didn't you do it to the north or the south? Why do it right at the airport? You train for the environment that you're in, it has been explained to me. Is it dark? Is it congested? Is it busy? Are there planes coming in? Is it the flight path? That is what you train for, and that is where the assessment takes place. And that is why, again, routine and repeatedly, these assessments take place in these areas.
Okay, Charlie Daggett at the Pentagon, thanks so much.
Now, the helicopter involved in the incident, according to CBS News, was on a training flight and belonged to B Company. Now, for any of you who don't know, B Company is a helicopter training unit, which is also a part of a 12th Aviation Regiment. And this certain regiment trains soldiers on specific aircrafts or other systems. Now, it was also mentioned that the helicopter was flying 200 feet higher than it should have been during the time of the crash. It was also reported that at the time of the collision, there was only one aircraft controller handling some planes and helicopters at the same time. And this was taking place from the Reagan National Airport. Now, normally, this is a two-person job. And although there are usually 2 air traffic controllers doing the job, CBS News reports that it is common for air traffic controllers to take on both duties of directing planes and helicopters depending on their workload at the time. Now, there were a total of 67 victims involved in the collision, including 60 plane passengers and 4 crew members. Now, guys, no one survived these incidents. And this also includes the 3 U.S. Army soldiers in the helicopter who lost their lives as well during the time of the collision. Now, since then, there has been 55 deceased bodies that has been recovered since Sunday. Now, guys, I want to discuss some of my concerns with this situation. I want to point out some of the red flags that caught my attention. Now, first off, the U.S. Army soldiers being trained near a busy area is a huge red flag for me. I feel that this leaves room open for accidents to happen. Due that the soldiers are in training and are not fully equipped to operate a helicopter on their own, let alone in a busy area where other planes and helicopters are being directed by air traffic control that only has one air traffic controller on duty. Also, guys, they were using a specific passageway that was formed by the government, law enforcement, military, and medevac. Medevac is short for medical evacuation. And this is where they transport a sick or injured patient to a medical facility using a helicopter, airplane, or an ambulance. Now, you would think with these federal and state government services behind these airline companies, you would think that there would be more safety precautions and guidelines being implemented. You would think that since they are dealing with several lives, that these things will be taken more seriously. Also, guys, it was reported that the two aircrafts that were involved in the collision were only 350 feet away in a crowded landing space. This leaves room for an accident or a crash to happen. 350 feet seems like a huge distance on ground, but when it's involving aircraft and landing space, crowded landing space, it's not that big of a space. And also, guys, back to the people that were operating the helicopter, the 3 U.S. Army soldiers. The one that was actually operating the helicopter was a female pilot with only 500 hours of flying experience. There wasn't another more experienced passenger on the helicopter. And that signals a huge red flag for me as well. Now, I'm not saying that she wasn't trained enough or equipped enough to operate the helicopter, but when you think about something that requires so much skill, 500 hours of training time is not enough to have the soldier operating the aircraft by themselves in a crowded landing space with only 350 feet away from another landing aircraft. I just feel that someone more experienced should have been on the helicopter assisting her during her training. And I mean, it is training, so why wouldn't there be a more experienced operator on the helicopter with her? You would think. I mean, was she receiving instruction from guys, what am I trying to say? Was she receiving instruction from, guys, it's on the tip of my tongue. Air traffic control, or I mean, you guys know what I'm trying to say. I just feel that there should have just been more precaution. Also, guys, I feel that she was being trained in an unsecured environment. Also, 9:00 p.m., being trained at night with safety issues, obviously. And according to CNN News, the helicopter was poorly staffed in a tight airspace. Also, according to a former Black Hawk pilot, 3 crew pilots on an ill-fated flight is inadequate. And the former pilot also goes on to say that it takes 2 chief crews to clear the landing. And if you only have 1 crew chief, there's only so much space that you will be able to clear. So this is something that also stood out to me as well. Now, if this doesn't convince you, I don't know what will. Now, there was a live stream camera at the Kennedy Center in Washington, D.C. that caught the incident. The video was verified by CBS News, and it shows an explosion that took place near Potomac River around 8:47 p.m. Eastern Time, which is actually 13 minutes before the actual collision took place. 55 of the 67 deceased, their bodies were recovered. And along with their bodies being recovered, investigators also found the black box that was located in the helicopter, which is the cockpit and flight voice recorder. And that's what I was trying to say earlier, guys. Was she communicating with the people at the cockpit? Was her communication lost? What could have happened during her time of training that could have, led her on the wrong path? Now, investigators reported that the data collected on the recordings could hopefully lead them to what happened, that what may have caused the collision. And they feel that it could be some misinterpreted information that may have been given to the soldiers in training regarding landing and pathway instructions. Now, guys, you would think that these type of things would be taken care of before departure, especially with someone that's in training. I'm not saying that accidents don't happen. I'm not saying that people don't make mistakes. But when it comes to things, when it comes to situations where your life and other people's lives, is at stake, you have to follow adequate safety precautions. You have to take the proper guidelines. You have to follow certain rules and regulations to ensure safety for everyone. And it just makes you wonder what really happened. It makes you wonder, are people in training always unsupervised by a more experienced operator? It makes you wonder if, these things always happen as to why a lot of crashes and incidents with airplanes occur. Now, there was another unfortunate event that occurred just days later when there was another plane crash that happened last Friday in Philadelphia, causing 7 to be deceased, 20 to be injured, and several homes to catch on fire. Check this clip out, guys, and I'll be right back. Guys, before I proceed with the story about the plane crash that occurred in Philadelphia, I want to play a recording for you guys that was obtained from the black box that was found in the DC collision. And I also want to play a clip for you guys showing the collision that took place.
Tower 5342 on Mount Vernon visual runway 1.
Lucia 5342, Washington Tower 1 star 32 Zurich 17, car 25, can you take runway 33?
Yeah, we can do 33 for Blue 5342.
Lucia 5342, that's a Wilson Bridge, thanks for runway 33, clear to land.
Change to runway 33, runway 33 for land, let's 342.
Jet 789, 1 star 320 to 15, Gulf 25, traffic 2 out, no delay, runway 1 for takeoff.
Takeoff, runway 1, no delay, Jet 789. Washington Tower, American 3130 with you, runway 1.
American 3130, Washington Tower, 1 star 310 to 14, Gulf 25, runway 1 clear to land, traffic may depart prior to arrival.
Okay, clear land, runway 1, American 3130.
Jet 789, contact don't park today.
Okay.
American 3130, slow the funnel.
Slow American 3130.
Pad 25, traffic just south of Wilson Bridge is here today at 1,200 feet, start runway 33.
The country is tonight, unbelievably, witnessing its second horrific plane crash in just the past 3 days. Tonight, it is a small plane, a jet, a Learjet, that has crashed in northeast Philadelphia. It sent up a fireball in a densely populated neighborhood that includes both homes and also a shopping center. I'm going to show you some footage here of the crash. What you're about to see here is footage from a Ring camera security system that did capture the moment of the crash. This plane, this Learjet, had just departed from Northeast Philadelphia Airport. It's not the main airport in Philly, but a small airport. It was en route to Springfield Branson Airport in Missouri. This is around 6:30 p.m. Local time, 6:30 p.m. Eastern time. The crash site is near the Roosevelt Mall in Northeast Philly. But again, homes there, cars there. This is a densely populated part of a big U.S. city. First responders very quickly reached the scene. They found fires burning, several homes and cars on fire because of the impact and the debris. Local officials, including the mayor of Philadelphia and Pennsylvania's Governor Josh Shapiro, are in contact. They are helping coordinate the response. We may be hearing from Governor Shapiro in just a moment as local officials continue to brief on the scene. We had very quickly initial reports that said this plane was on some sort of medical assignment when it took off. That is confirmed now. Just before we got on the air tonight, we got this statement from Jet Rescue Air Ambulance. Quote, today, Jet Rescue Air Ambulance experienced a crash. The aircraft, XA-UCI Learjet 55, crashed after takeoff from Philadelphia. There were 4 crew members and 2 passengers, a pediatric patient and escort on board. So 4 crew, 2 passengers. One of the passengers is a pediatric patient. This was an air ambulance flight. The air ambulance company said no further information is available at this time. At this time, we can't confirm any survivors. No names are being released until family members have been notified. Our immediate concern is for the patient's family, our personnel, their families, and other victims that may have been hurt on the ground. More information will be released as it becomes available. Again, that from the air ambulance company that was operating this flight. A representative for Jet Rescue Air Ambulance tells one of our producers tonight that the pediatric patient on board was a female minor, so a girl, a citizen of Mexico, who had completed treatment and was on her way back home. Again, the 6 people on board that flight believed to be that pediatric patient, an escort with that patient, and 4 crew members.
Now, of the 7 who met their demise, 6 of those individuals were actual passengers, and 1 was in a vehicle on the ground. So they met their demise as a result of the plane crash. And also, of the 6 passengers, 2 of which was a little girl from Mexico who had recently received and finished treatment at a Shriners Hospital in Philadelphia. Keep that in mind. Now, the child and her mother who was also one of the 6 passengers, was on their way home when the plane crashed near Roosevelt Mall in Philadelphia about 5 minutes after leaving the aircraft, operated by Jet Reserve Air Ambulance, which is a flight division company in Mexico. Now, the crash was ruled an accident, and the jet was said to have reached 1,500 feet in the air before losing control, making a sudden left turn, then a sudden right turn before going on a downward slope, resulting in the crash. Now, according to Philadelphia 10 News, shortly after the plane's departure, their air traffic controller tried to make contact repeatedly with the pilot but received no response. Now, although this was ruled an accident, officials were stressed and anxious to find the cockpit voice recorder, but they said that they strongly felt that the recording was going to be damaged and fragmented once they located it. Now, they later on located the voice recording, and the data will be later on revealed, according to CBS News, by the National Transportation Board System. Now, also, guys, there was some debris from the plane accident in Philadelphia that spread 4 to 6 blocks in the city. And according to Philadelphia's managing director, there's also debris in a remote area located where something occurred with the aircraft. Now, officials actually informed the residents in neighborhoods of Philadelphia that if they find debris in their yard, to not touch it and immediately call 911. Now, during this time, the National Transportation Safety Board has been conducting routine sweeps, going door to door to reach out to those who may have been impacted by the incident and to also locate some possible hidden damages. Now, Philadelphia mayor urges residents to stay away from the scene of the accident, for it is still under investigation. Now, guys, I find it suspicious that these accidents occurred back to back due to inadequate safety precautions and guidelines. Because, I find it suspicious that I'm pretty sure, I'm for certain that all air traffic controllers and pilots perform some type of communication test to make sure everything is clear with them before departure. And I find it very suspicious that as soon as both of these aircrafts, well, all 3 of these aircrafts departed, it was said that they lost control over their aircrafts, and they also lost communication with their air traffic controllers. That's what I was trying to say earlier, guys. Sorry about that. Now, you would think more effort would be put into ensuring the passenger's safety. You would think that these things would have been taken more into consideration, including ensuring all factors of communication between air traffic operators, passengers, air traffic control operators, were all intact before departing, like I said earlier. Also, all the soldiers in training should be accompanied by a more experienced aircraft operator. I also feel that all airline companies should be able to conduct. I'm sorry, guys. I feel that all airline companies should not be able to conduct business when they're understaffed due to possible, safety issues. But guys, in reality, let's face it, these people are highly trained to follow all safety guidelines pertaining to the aircraft that is being operated. So it just lets you know that there's something darker taking place, possibly. And I'm just going to go ahead and state how I feel. I feel that something is dark taking place behind the scenes. And also, I feel that these incidents were not caused due to high proximity or a lack of control due to lost communication. I feel that these are the obvious signs, so people could see these signs as the causes. Well, there was a lack of communication. The planes were too high in the sky, just all these different things. But guys, there's a more dark underlying reason, to why these things are taking place. And I feel that they are driven by dark hidden motives. There's a lot of strange things that has been taking place lately, and I feel that they are not by coincidence. I feel that at this time we are under heavy spiritual warfare, and this warfare includes the constant battle against Babylon, and God's people. Babylon are the elite members who rule over the beast system in an attempt to control the world. They want to be God. And around this time of year, especially during the time of winter solstice, the election, the Super Bowl, events like this, even paganistic holidays that you wouldn't consider like Valentine's Day. And guys, I'm going to do a video on that as well. But around this time, guys, specific rituals take place behind the scenes with the powers that be. And these rituals result in synchronized sacrifices all across the U.S. And that brings me to talk about another elite, very large elite organization, the Freemasons. Now, guys, the Freemasons are most certainly not excluded from my list of suspicions. And I'm going to tell you why. Being that they are the world's largest secret organization with over 6 million members, that includes very successful and powerful, well-known elite members. Now, when the Philadelphia accident occurred, minutes before this child was being medically transported from receiving treatment from a Shriners hospital. Just know that, for any of you who are unaware, Shriners are high-ranking Freemasons whose main focus is fun, fellowship, and Masonic principles. And this is why they focus predominantly on children. They feel that their fun nature will draw in children. For whatever the reason is behind that, I don't know. But they are high-ranking Freemasons who participate in the craft, and they are very focused on children, which concerns me as well. Now, also, guys, the jet departed at 6 minutes after 6. 6 passengers were unalived. Now, many would think that is a coincidence, but I most certainly do not. And I also know, especially from experience within my family, that the Freemasons most certainly are connected with the devil. And they worship Baal. And they do participate in witchcraft. They also, I feel, participate in a lot of these rituals and sacrifices that takes place around synchronized times of the year in and out of the U.S. The nature of the crash, the way it went in a downward slope.
I want you to understand.
It seems as if the plane was either shot down or sabotaged.
This airplane didn't get airborne for more than about 60 seconds. When we look at its flight path, it comes straight off of runway 24. It's climbing out straight ahead as it would have been cleared to do. At the very end of this video that we just watched, there's a little veer to the left before they impact the ground, and that would be characteristic also of a stall. The left wing was the one that probably dipped down first. The nose fell through, and the airplane went just slightly off to the left. I'm grabbing a lot from just a bit of the video here. But again, it's very sad. Now,
what does this have to do with the accident outside of Reagan? Well, the two most critical phases of flight, obviously, are taking off and landing. Now, where the two incidents are really totally different is that there's a lot to look at in the DCA accident. The regional jet was in a very tight airspace. They were cleared to land. The airspace in front of them, behind them, and on both sides of them belongs to that commercial jet. The helicopter was talking to the tower. They accepted visual separation rules from the tower. They said they had the airplane in sight. And my conjecture on that video was they were looking at the wrong airplane. They thought they had visual separation on the airplane. The only problem was it wasn't the airplane the tower was talking about. That's human error. Again, we're going to find out in the weeks and months ahead what actually happened, but I think that played a huge factor in it. In this one, we simply don't know. All we know is that the co-pilot had a completely normal voice, and from the time he got handed that frequency to start talking to departure control, something happened, and it happened quickly. It happened so quickly that the airplane stalled, in my opinion, and then just did that nosedive down into the ground. Now, the question that's going to come back to all of us is this: is it safe to fly? And I've been inundated with emails and texts over the last few days. Captain Steve, tell us it's safe to fly. And the answer is absolutely yes, it's safe to fly. Look, I want you to put this in perspective. Every day, all around the world, there are tens of thousands of departures, takeoffs, and landings all around the world. That goes on day after day, week after week, month after month, year after year. The last time there was a major airline accident in this country, in the U.S., with fatalities was over a dozen years ago. I can't even remember the last time there was a mid-air collision like there was at DCA this week. It's been decades since that has happened, and there have been millions of flight events that have gone on in between that. The problem is when two accidents take place so close to each other, boy, it really makes us nervous. And I understand that, folks. I get that. You're asking me, is it safe to get on an airplane? Here's what I'm going to tell you. I'm about to get on an airplane tomorrow. I'm going to fly from Charlotte Douglas International Airport all the way over to London, and I'm going to bring 300 of my best friends with me. It's absolutely safe to get in an airplane. Your pilots are exceedingly well trained. They are very seasoned and very experienced. And again, the system has not failed. These are just two coincidences that took place so close to each other. Yeah, it does make us kind of nervous, and I understand that. If you can, come along with me tomorrow night. I got the 8:30 departure out of Charlotte Douglas. I'm headed to London, and we're going to have a good time together. Hopefully, I can put all my passengers at ease before we depart, because I understand how nervous this gets. But as I always say at the end of my videos, I want you to fly safe. And folks, you can rest assured that the system is okay and you can fly safe. Well, there's my thoughts on it. I'm Captain Steve.
Medevac Med Tango Sierra 056 Northeast Tower. How do you hear this transmission?
Medevac Med Service 056 Northeast Tower.
Fifty-six 098 Foxtrot Northeast Ground, Roger. Stand by one. I'll get back to you when I can.
But guys, I don't know if any of you remember the Boeing company whistleblowing incident. I did a video about whistleblowing that actually touched on this topic. And during this time, 2 employees exposed the overlooked safety hazards that was taking place at the Boeing company that was causing the possible reasons for several of their plane crashes. Now, when both of these employees spoke out, they lost their jobs, and they also came up unalived under mysterious circumstances. Now, guys, I'm not making any accusations, but all of these strange happenings does not seem like a coincidence to me. They just don't. And, these unfortunate events, when they happen, they devastate several Americans each year, leading to many being injured, out of a home and resources, even a lot of people losing their lives. And it doesn't just affect the people that are involved, it affects us as well as a society as a whole. Because all you can think about is if these things are going to happen to you, or someone that you are close to. And it's also devastating to see other people go through these things as well. It's things that can deter your faith if not careful. And the elites, they actually plan these tragic events each year. And I feel that this is their way of paying homage and presenting a blood sacrifice to their god, which is Baal. They feel that this is necessary for their ongoing success and also as a means of depopulating society in hopes of having more control over the masses. And guys, this is just how I feel. This is just my opinion on my channel. And do you guys remember the Purge movie, which I know you guys do? Especially the one where it expressed the election heavily. I mentioned in one of my previous videos that these events that they display in these movies are them showing us what they are doing in plain sight. I spoke on a lot of purging in means of depopulating humanity. A lot of these elite members feel that the less they have to deal with trying to control, the better their chances of controlling everyone. A one world society. Babylon is falling, and with that, their wicked schemes are becoming more wicked because they're failing. God is waking a lot of his people up, and the more God wakes us up and brings us closer to him, the harder the battle gets, because the enemy is trying to stop at nothing to take everyone with him. He's becoming very desperate. He knows that his time is almost up, and he's trying to do all that he can. And although these events are orchestrated to not only harm and control the masses, they also cause a distraction as well. Even though these things are going on, we still have our own divine purpose from the Most High that we have to fulfill. And as humans, we do hold a lot of emotions from things that we go through and through things that we see others go through. We feel things, we have emotions, and sometimes we can be so caught up in the world and things that are going on around us, it's hard to concentrate, it's hard to stay focused. And let's just be honest, let's just be a little relatable here. These things are more than a distraction. They are traumatizing. These things are devastating. And it is hard to stay focused sometimes when you look around the world and every time you turn on the television or every time you get on your phone or your tablet, something tragic like these plane crashes has taken place. So I'm going to come to you guys as a relatable human being. Someone that has feelings, someone that is not only impacted by the things that I go through, but things that I see others go through as well. Due to the fact that we do have our own purposes that we have to fulfill for God, and we have our own duties that we have to complete here on earth in order to survive and to take care of our families. Stay as close to God as you can, for strength, for faith, for courage, for discernment, clarity, and wisdom and understanding during these times. Pray without ceasing. Also, guys, don't be fooled by what you see or hear. Meaning, they try to display a lot of these things as accidents, and a lot of these leaders, they get on TV and they seem so concerned about what's going on, and they want you to look at them as a hero. They really want you to worship them like they're God. They want to make all of these bad things happen around you, and then they want to sweep in as if they're saving the day to make things better. But it's all a part of a plan and agenda that they are pushing. They want you to view them one way, but they're wicked behind the scenes. But they want you to look at them as if they're your savior, as if they're God, as if they're here to make things better for you. And personally, guys, I feel that this is just all the works of the Antichrist. You just have to read between the lines and pay attention and ask yourself if these people really have your best interest at heart. Now, don't get me wrong. I know that God works in mysterious ways. I know that he makes things happen. I know that he uses certain people to do certain things. But we must never forget that there's a spiritual warfare going on. And there are many people out there that are trying to deceive you when it comes to God. So you have to use your discernment so you will know who's for you and who's not. Whoever is for you and you have a relationship with God, they are of God and they are meant for you. Not meaning, when I say meant for you, I'm not meaning as in a relationship. I'm meaning as with any and everything. Any and everything. Whether it's the church that you go to, the people that you surround yourself with. If whoever you voted for, if you voted. I didn't vote, guys. I'm just going to be honest. I didn't. If you want to know my honest opinion, I feel that everyone has a hidden agenda. And I feel that no matter who you pick, they all have a certain secret dark mission that they have to fulfill during their term in the White House. And I see a lot of videos where people are saying, pray for your leaders. And I'm going to most certainly do that. I'm going to pray for them to have a clean heart and a clean spirit, and to remove any bad intentions that they may have and replace them with good ones for the greater good of our country. And that's pretty much all I can do. But what I will not do is look at any of these leaders over our country as heroes and as my savior, because they're not. The Most High is my hero and the Most High is my savior. And he's the only one that I will worship and give praise to. I mean, guys, I'm not trying to convince anyone here, but it's very obvious that a lot of these things that are taking place are staged. A lot of these accidents are planned through secret sabotage. And only they know their true secret motives behind why these things are taking place. We can have our ideas. We can even have receipts on some things as to why it's taking place, but only they know the true reason. And that's why at this time, guys, just let the Holy Spirit guide you with wisdom, clarity, and discernment. Do not fear. God did not give us a spirit of fear, but a spirit of love, calmness, and a sound mind. Trust your relationship with God and don't let what is going on around you deter your faith. The world is a stage, and the enemy is controlling the minds and hearts of many who desire to control others. And when you are set apart by the Most High, you are one of God's soldiers in spiritual warfare against the enemy. In this world, we are all trying to survive and fight against the beast system that is trying to take over God's people. But it's not going to happen, guys. I just want you to know. I know it sounds crazy because there's a lot of crazy things going on around us, but don't let it stop you from trusting in God and praying to Him. Let it be a reason for you to draw closer to Him. Continue to be a threat to the enemy by breaking the cycle of indoctrination. Continue to put God first and continue to stay set apart. I love you guys so much. I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. Please don't hesitate to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Like the video, share the video if you care. Continue to take care of yourselves mentally, physically, and spiritually. I love you guys so much, and I will see you in the next video. Peace and blessings. Mwah.